Welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. I like the way you do that. Right there. Swing your hips when you're walking. Let down your hair. I like the way you do that. Right there. Lick your lips when you're walking. That make me stir. My name's Harley Never. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
And that was Chingy from his one and only... he's had a couple of big songs, but it was probably the one that is most remembered from over a decade ago.
Can you believe that Guy said that there would never be any Chingy lyrics on the Guy and Harley podcast? Outrageous.
Out of respect for our fans, I said that. But
yeah, last week I said that that Chingy had an old song that I liked that was about his grandma dying. That is absolutely false. It was not Chingy. It was Jaquan. It was Jaquan. So I have zero connection to Chingy.
Another rapper from
10 years ago that had one
well
hit.
over a decade ago that had one hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. This has been another momentous week, jam-packed full of adventures and productivity. And when I say week, I mean, 2 weeks or so. Sorry about that. Kind of.
Well, we tried our best.
We did.
We recorded 2 podcasts in a row to try and get ahead of the demand, supply and demand. But the problem was that then I had to still edit the podcast, and then I didn't have any time to do that. So I ended up just releasing it at the next time I had some free time.
Just 2 weeks after the Oscars have finished.
Yeah. So,
the Oscars special.
Also, let's just clarify Oscars special. We did receive some serious feedback about my faux pas.
Yeah.
My Oscar faux pas.
Turns out that
I made an Oscar faux pas as well.
Disrespected Hollywood royalty, Harvey Keitel.
Well, no, I disrespected Warren Beatty by calling him Harvey Keitel.
Well, you disrespected Harvey Keitel by suggesting that he was the guy up there. For a start, it shows that you don't know what Harvey Keitel looks like. And
they look kind of similar now, to be honest.
And
they're
secondly,
both guys in their late 60s to early 70s now.
Well, all people in their late 60s to early 70s do look exactly the same, to be fair.
Especially white people.
Yeah. It's funny, I did actually notice that when I used to work on a cruise ship, when I first started working on the cruise ship, it was like all passengers sort of in their 60s, white, English, and I used to talk to them all and have a chat with them, and I knew them all some of them by name and that type of thing, and they all knew who I was, and then after, no shit, like 2 weeks... they all looked exactly the same to me. I forgot I didn't know their names, didn't know anything about them. They just looked exactly the same to me. And it's that it becomes easier to realize how people could dehumanize people in like the Holocaust and stuff. Because I was just like, all these like fucking fat old white people. Shut up,
you fat old white people.
Yeah, my heart would sink every time they'd talk to me. Yeah. so yeah, look, at a certain age, people do start looking the same. Especially white people.
But that was a pretty bad mistake on my behalf. I mean, I've read a book on Warren Beatty. I've read a book about him. So at least I got his movies right. That's the undefendable thing. But Harvey Keitel,
now,
just
Warren
to clarify,
Beatty, just to be sure, he was the guy that was squealing like a pig in the woods.
No. That is Ned Beatty.
Oh, his brother.
No.
Oh.
Well, I don't know if they're brothers, actually.
I never thought about that.
I don't know if they're brothers, but Ned Beatty was also the guy that played Lex Luthor's sidekick in the original Superman movies. And apparently there is actually a story about like how Ned Beatty, because obviously he was the Squeal Like a Pig guy.
In Deliverance.
Great movie. If you guys have not watched Deliverance, I highly recommend it.
It's something that you need to watch, if only to understand the pop culture references.
Yeah, and just a great thriller. And, I imagine what happens to many New Zealanders when they venture too far into the bush. Anyway, so apparently, on another film, 25 or 30 years later, someone sort of made an offhanded joke, and Ned Beatty was kind of like, "It never goes away. It just never goes away."
Well, of course,
because he had no idea when he did that was going to become this thing. He knew, all he knew was basically your gay rape scene in your thing. You're like, look, I'm just a gay rapist. I'm going to do some molesting now, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And then that's what he becomes, is that. So you could maybe become the gay molester.
But he was the squealer, right?
Yeah,
he was the rapee, not the rapist.
Exactly. He was being being sodomized by some local hillbillies, who made him squeal like a pig. Hence that scene, which is, super harrowing, amazing scene, the amazing acting all round. But, unfortunately, that just kind of, then just everyone identified him with them as that. But anyway, Warren Beatty didn't have that problem. He was the most handsome man in Hollywood. He started producing his own films. And then now he's just an old man. But
and to be clear, in the previous episode, you suggested that it was Harvey Keitel reading out the wrong best movie winner in the Oscars.
It was Warren Beatty, and it wasn't actually Warren Beatty. It was Faye Dunaway who was with him.
But it was funny that you were like that. I was like, I don't know who that old man is, and you're like, that old man.
I was
Hollywood royalty, Harvey Keitel.
And Harvey Keitel, also to clarify, is probably, you remember him from Pulp Fiction. He's the cleanup guy.
Yeah,
in Pulp Fiction.
I do remember that. He's also on Reservoir Dogs.
Yes, he is. He's Mr. One of them.
Yeah,
he's one of the colours in Reservoir Dogs. And also he's in fact, we should just put this on record as well. Harvey Keitel is most famous for getting his knob out all the time in films.
Right.
He gets his knob out in The Piano, if you'll recall, Harley Newell. That classic where he gets his knob out in The Piano. And the other one is Bad Lieutenant, where he also gets his knob out. I highly recommend both films. Particularly Bad Lieutenant, not the remake starring Nicolas Cage, Bad Lieutenant New Orleans or something, or it's kind of like a sequel. I don't really understand it, but anyway.
What are you playing the piano? The main guy?
He was I think he was a Maori guy, playing a Maori guy. He had a moku, I'm pretty sure, that falls in love with the main chick.
Oh, it's been too long since I saw it.
It's been a long time, but anyway, 100% remember his knob in that one. So if you want to see that... that weighty piece of meat.
Was it a weighty piece of meat?
Well, I think he enjoyed getting it out because, it was nothing to be sniffed at.
Yeah.
I mean, it was substantial.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is a flaccid penis. It's very hard to tell, where it's going to wind up.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, when they're flaccid, they just grow an inch.
Yep.
But they're already really big when they're flaccid. And then some of them are really small when they're flaccid and they grow 6 or 7 inches.
Which is what you were claiming on the zombie film.
which is what happens to me, guys.
which is what you were yelling to anyone
that would
within
listen.
Earshot when you were on the zombie film and you had to do a nude scene where you had a cocksock on.
It was embarrassing. We have touched on this before, but it was very embarrassing to go directly after Mike Edward, the hulking behemoth.
And you're not talking about his
physique.
His physique in terms of his muscles.
We're talking about the pet roll that was dangling between his legs, barely concealed by a bloody rugby sock.
Barely contained
by a rugby sock, whereas my one was, I had this tiny little ankle sock. And it still had a dangly loose bit at the end.
Well, look,
not even kidding.
I felt for you on that one because honestly, it was very cold too.
It was freezing.
It was cold.
It was absolutely freezing. It was Dunedin winter. Dunedin winter. Now, Dunedin is a city at the bottom of the world. It's one of the closest cities to Antarctica. You know, it's pretty close. It's in the scheme of world cities. It's pretty south.
It's also probably true that when you did your scene, like, because there was a gas heater, right?
Yeah.
That we had on, but I feel like it was on for their scene and everything was actually quite toasty when we'd shot their scene, and it wasn't on for your scene?
No. We had to keep on turning it off because it was too noisy, and that must have been the same for them too, because it was super noisy. So you could turn it on for 2 minutes in between takes, but of course it achieved nothing. And then you'd go over and stand next to it. I went over a few times and stood next to this giant kick-ass gas heater.
And like waved your wang in front of it.
Waved my wang in front of it.
Yeah, shouting, you know.
Wake up!
Shouting,
this is your time to shine! Not now.
Yelling obscenities at it.
And so but the problem was that I was I'd go stand next to the heater, and then I guess because of the sudden change in temperature or whatever, I got like kind of like heat rash all down like around my thighs and you know, and it didn't look good. It didn't look like I had a massive rash all around my groin area, which is never a good thing. You know, rashes are usually a bad sign. And so I couldn't even stand next to the heater because then I'd end up all red and rashy looking.
And also, like, you know, just to clarify, when it is cold, your penis can shrink to the size of a prepubescent child.
Yeah.
That can happen.
Yeah.
It just goes away.
Just goes away.
It just hides.
Cocaine dick.
It's gone. And that's just the way it is. And, like, if anyone were to see it there and cast judgment, the judgment would be very harsh.
It wouldn't be.
They would be like, this guy has a micro penis.
No, there was definitely some
like,
disappointed.
No, it's definitely.
There was definitely some disappointed extras.
It's definitely macro. Not micro. It's macro.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I understood. I felt for you because I was like, yeah, look, if it's cold, it's cold. There's one amazing photo, but we probably won't share it on the Guy and Harley podcast of that, which is basically it's a photo of your groin, like just like a close up seen through the camera.
Yeah.
When you didn't have your hands over it.
Yeah.
Because obviously your hands were covering it to give the impression that you were completely naked.
Yeah.
And there is a photo of that with
which was a mistake because the character Wesley was being a stand-in on a film set at the time of his nudity, so he would have been wearing a cock sock. So I shouldn't have been hiding it as much because that's actually a very funny image. If we had just done a full frontal showing the cock sock, it would have been pretty humorous, I think.
I don't know if you would have been laughing, mate. If you see this photo, I don't know if you would have been so on board with the idea, to be perfectly honest.
Well, send it through to me.
I'll send it through to you. And we'll judge if it's going to go up on the podcast page.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a reputation to uphold.
I was going to say, I can 100% judge that it's not.
Just too minuscule? just too laughably tiny?
Well, it does look comedic. It does look comedic in that particular situation. Almost like it's a prosthetic mini penis.
Yeah, I can't have any rumours getting out that I've got a tiny macro penis.
Micro. But yeah, so you're right, but then also we would have had to like kind of create a boner penis under the sock. It would have been quite hard to do.
I could have been hiding the boner penis.
Yeah.
But even that, I probably could have... I was thinking later on, I mean, this is only interesting, I guess, for people who have actually seen I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. So if you want to know what we're talking about, go out and see I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. If you're in America, it's on all your big channels. It's on TMC, AT&T, Showtime, Xbox, PlayStation, Amazon, all of those places. It's all there, so go check it out. If you're listening elsewhere, it's probably on your iTunes. Go check that out. And if you're in New Zealand, you can buy a personalised signed DVD direct from us, the filmmakers, by going to facebook.com/ISAZH.
It's everywhere except where everyone would normally see it.
Netflix.
On Netflix.
Yeah, it's the only, don't bother looking there.
Don't worry about the only place everyone watches everything anymore, because that's not where it is.
Yeah. So I did also think it would have been Now, I actually been meaning to talk to you about this scene in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. This is a bit of a tangent, but the bonus scene in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust is actually a remake of sorts, a rehash of an older joke of ours from our web series, The Project, which we've spoken about before on the show, which is hilarious. Go search Pigville, The Project, and watch it. And in that, I actually feel like we pulled it off better in The Project.
It was way better.
And there was now, of course, we had time constraints and all sorts of problems, and so we, there's various reasons why we didn't get it the same in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and why we did it funnier in The Project. In The Project, we had a full day to shoot one scene.
Yeah.
In I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, we were constantly behind and had a few
probably
takes.
had about an hour to do that.
And it was reshoots. We had to reshoot it as well.
Well, that's the thing. So you shot
twice.
Yeah, we shot it twice.
Yeah.
And the second time, I had simply incorporated this as like, oh, well, we're missing half of this scene as well. Let's quickly try and get it when we're actually scheduling to reshoot other things, not this in particular. So it was a real...
So Harley, now that it's 2 months later and actual freezing cold winter now, come here, get naked. Yeah, that was it. When we shot with Mike Edward, maybe it had been the first time the weather was okay, but when I went back the second time, it was later and it was even colder. But
I had to break it to you. I'm pretty sure the photos from the first time.
No, but okay. Anyway. Moving on. Look, the point is that I did think about that scene afterwards, and I realized that part of what makes it so funny in The Project is that we show the boner.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious, and he's there trying to deny that he's got a boner,
but he
blatantly has a boner poking it through, in his undies, bulging in his undies, and it's funny as fuck.
Yeah, and also like the physical comedy of draping a towel on it.
Exactly, yeah. So
there's a lot of hilarity there.
Well, I think that physical comedy of putting a towel over it in The Project in I Survived a Zombie Holocaust could have been the equivalent could have been the sock. It just would have been really funny to have a cock sock over an erection, I just think that would have been like pretty hilarious.
Boners are funny, guys.
Boners are funny, and we could have really, really done that. But it's just that's some of the issues we faced when making the movie.
But also, I made a conscious decision because realistically speaking, The Project is that's unrealistic comedy in a way that you would just sit there with it out, whereas you would be covering it up, trying to cover it up. So we went with the choice to cover it up in the zombie film for realism, but it did compromise the humor to some degree.
Yeah, I just think it would definitely, wasn't as funny as it could have been, but still funny. People do still enjoy it's not angry. It's not raging. It's not angry at anyone. If anything, it's happy. It's a happy little look. Anyway, or whatever the line is.
Yep.
Now, look, this episode, we went on a boner tangent there. We do that sometimes.
We definitely do that sometimes.
But I did just...
You were going off on a boner tangent in your room
the other
I knocked on your door.
The other week. Can we move on from...
Can you stop bringing that up?
Can you stop bringing that up? I was very hard at work in there doing important Pigville stuff. I was writing my notes for the Guy and Harley podcast. This episode, we better give a shout out to our benevolent sponsors. Okay, so this episode is brought to you by your girlfriend Shani. Yep. She paid $100 to put towards the monthly fees that we pay to keep this podcast up. The fees are, I can't remember what they are. I think they're around $15 or so, and so that's actually quite a lot of. That's more probably about a year worth of stuff, which is great. Okay, but also Chuck Black. Now Chuck Black is a long-time listener on YouTube. I don't know if he listens anywhere else, but he listens on YouTube and he often comments. And I got a donation the other day into my PayPal account for $50. Bam, just like that. And he said, this $50 is for you guys to go and have some drinks on me. So
that's what we're doing.
Chuck was like, I'd like to buy you a beer. And so we took that money, Chuck, and we used it to buy some Steinlager Pures, which we used as a prop in a scene recently for a pickup of Older that we were doing, and we of course drank them afterwards with the cast and crew and enjoyed them thoroughly, and then that was half the money. And then today we're drinking some Hogardens, which are a rare treat for us. Normally I drink shitty cheap beer. Today we're drinking some delicious Hogardens,
sophisticated,
while we do this podcast, and that's all thanks to you, mate. So Chuck Black. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it.
And they're going down an absolute treat.
They are.
I should add. Absolute treat.
Now, we also received a couple of new patrons this month. Jamie Oxley, he's a truck driver from Australia, and he actually said, he sent me a message. I'm just calling it up here. He sent me a message saying, crap, I lost it.
What did he say?
He sent me a message saying, this is going to lead to our next topic. I love the podcasts. I love the Uber files. I'm a driver too, so I take my hat off to all Uber drivers because there's no way that I could put up with drunk cunts.
Amen, brother.
So instead of being an Uber driver, I drive trucks all over Australia. I've been meaning to give you guys $2 a month. That's nothing, let's face it, but every little bit helps.
That's true.
And you know what? He gave us $4 a month.
Every little bit does help, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Now, with regards to which way you should face up and down the street in the last Uber argument that we had, I would say it would depend on which side of the street you live on. If you're on the left, you should face down the street. If you're on the right, you should face up the street. I would say that 90% of people would get into an Uber on the left side. Anyway, I hope that keep up the good work, mates. And your podcast makes my long nights of driving trucks in the outback all that more fun.
Jamie, thank you very much. And, you've conjured a whole new world for us there. Like, it's great to imagine people off doing things while they listen to this podcast. This guy is driving the roads.
He drives truckloads of rubbish from one side of Australia to another to go to like a landfill or something.
And I imagine, in my head, I don't know if it's true, but I imagine sometimes it's the middle of the night and he's just going down that long open desert road into infinity. Listen to the Guy and Harley podcast. So thank you very much.
It's a romantic notion.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But it just conjured a whole thing. I was like, wow, Australia, the outback, these long sort of stretches of, like deserted highway, and he's just...
Nothing but the kangaroos to keep you company.
Yeah. And who's that guy from Wolf Creek? Mick.
Yeah.
Someone.
Yeah, I met him not that long ago. I met him at Screamfest. I don't know if I told the listeners that, but Mick from... bloody Mick, yeah, Drongo. Mick from... that show.
Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek, yeah.
The two movies, Wolf Creek
and a
1
TV
and 2.
show.
Has it become a TV show too?
That's what I watched. At Screamfest in LA, I watched the Wolf Creek first 2 episodes. It's pretty good. I didn't have any major complaints.
You didn't fall asleep?
I didn't fall asleep. And then I met him afterwards and got a cheeky photo. Admittedly, he was only half enthusiastic about having a photo with me.
Admittedly, he was quite reluctant.
He was like, yeah, okay, just let's make it quick.
He was like, yeah, look, but please stop talking.
And he was like, you an Aussie, are you? And I was like, nah, Kiwi. And he was like, was it something like, oh, well, I won't hold it against you. It's not fucking some bullshit.
And you're like, I won't hold it against you, mate. I won't hold it against you that you've parlayed this one great role into fucking 50 shitter versions of it.
What?
Well, like he did Wolf Creek. That was really good. That was amazing.
Has he been in a bunch of other shitty horrors or something?
Wolf Creek 2 arguably was pretty not very good. I don't know about the TV series, can't comment on that. But he's also been in, I watched another film and it was like, starring blah, blah, blah from Wolf Creek. And I was like, ooh, cool. Not cool.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of that horror, but it wasn't amazing.
Right. Okay, well, we did have another new patron this week as well. Sadly, I did not write down his name, but I will shout him out next week. But so anyway, our Patreon account is now up to $25 a month. Now, sure, it's not $1,000 a month, like Viva La Dirtly. Okay, but it's a pretty bloody good start.
It bloody is.
And $25 a month in New Zealand, that's like 30 or more. So...
My dream is for it to get up to the point where it's paying for our insurance cover of our camera
gear.
equipment.
Yeah, that's about 90 something a month.
That's really chewing up the old funds at the moment.
Yeah. Now, I also got another bit of Uber feedback that you'll be happy about, Guy.
I saw. Is this Jason Combs?
This is Jason Combs.
He illustrated with a detailed diagram, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, he did. And I think that's pretty great. Now, fuck me.
He's lost it.
I haven't lost it.
He's lost the bloody plot.
I just thought I could click on it and it would take me there. It didn't. Okay. So, why don't you talk about something for a second, Guy?
Well, I do have a new episode of the Uber Files to open
Okay, I
up.
got it fixed.
All right. Don't worry about it. Moving on.
So last week, Guy and I had an argument about whether the which way the Uber should face when it's picking me up. At the end of a dead-end street, my argument was that it's a dead-end street, so just when you pick me up, like, because I come outside, right? So I'm not standing there. I'm not standing there and then he comes down and turns around in front of me. It's more like he comes and he comes and I come outside. So he should be facing the right way when I come outside. Now, Jason Coombs, long-time listener, big supporter, he says, as a member of the Hardy Hundy, the Filthy 50, he is an original Filthy 50.
He's an original.
A Patreon supporter, a user of Uber, and a holder of master's degrees in city planning and urban design, please allow me to address the Guy and Harley Great Uber Dispute. First, you'll see how I imagine that Guy sees the situation, and he's got a map showing the Uber maps and so on of where you would be. And he may or may not have given us his address at the same time because he's got screen grabs here. He's definitely got a place that he was at some point at. So if I was an internet creep, I would start hanging around there. But anyway,
he's a handsome man.
He is.
He's got a good beard, or sometimes
beard.
Sometimes he's got a good beard.
I've noticed him with a beard. Are you getting mixed up with somebody
He's definitely documented photos with him with a beard, but I think he may have shaved it now.
Right. Okay. So anyway, and then he says, well, look, the gist of it is that Harley is completely wrong. I must side with Guy because he then has diagrams showing what I would see from the street level and so on. And look, the gist of it is that Guy is right, Harley is wrong. Always go to where the pin is. Do not try to take any initiative. Don't take initiative
in the workplace. Never take initiative. That's the lesson here. Also talk about a dead-end street. That argument was a dead-end street. That argument left me at a dead end. And also the funny thing about that
Guy was so rage-fueled by the end of it that we couldn't even finish the podcast with a final topic. He couldn't get a word out.
I was defeated. I was 100% defeated. Like, in life, I was defeated. I had to... And the annoying thing was, I then went, pretty much straight after that to Uber and, had this issue. So I was reminded of the argument over and over again as I was on the other side of the street to people.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Well, look,
for fuck's sake.
I'd like to open up a new segment.
What's that?
It's like the Uber Files, but it's my version.
The Uber complaint. They're complaining about Uber driver files.
No. Well, do you know that Uber means super? Do you know that?
Did you know that? I knew it meant I guess I knew it meant sort of exceptional.
It means super in German. That's what it means.
Yeah.
So you are, as an Uber driver, you are Superman.
Well, if they could only pay me they were...
Superman doesn't get paid.
Well, so neither do Uber drivers.
Anyway, the Uber Files. I just thought I'd open up the Uber Files. It's my segment now. I got an Uber the other day by this guy. He was a really nice guy, and I was his second customer ever. That was his first night, and I was his second customer ever.
I'm going to go on the record as saying that's a classic Uber tactic.
Oh, to say that you're the second Uber ever?
Yeah, so basically...
I've never had it.
So basically what happens is there's a bunch of Uber drivers. I don't do it. I just tell them how long I've been doing it for because I'm an honest, upstanding citizen. But there's a group of Uber drivers that basically whenever someone goes, so how long have you been doing this for? They go, oh, I just started actually.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my first night. Or, oh, I've only been doing it a couple of weeks. Because then...
You're nicer to them?
No.
With the rating?
Yes. So, no matter how much you fuck up, they go, oh, you know what? He's only just started.
Yeah.
I'll give him a break.
Yeah.
And so, it's very duplicitous fucking angle to run.
Well, he struck me as being genuine, but, I didn't put him under the interrogation.
It's quite funny because, I was talking to a passenger and they're like, yeah, it's really weird. I've had 3 people say it's their first time Ubering to or their first or second time Ubering, and I was like, yeah, that's weird. Bullshit is what it is.
Well, I believed this guy. I did believe this guy.
Fair enough. So this guy, yep.
So it's his second customer ever. Fucking shows up on the wrong side of the road. I was like, oh boy, yeah, look over here, you dumb fucking Uber driver. My bloody chips are getting cold. fucking, his car was quite tidy, although it fucking should be, considering I'm his second customer ever.
That's right, yeah.
And then
should be immaculate.
Exactly. It was, to be fair. And then he starts taking me some goofy way, and we're just about to go down the street we should go down, and very last minute and way too late, I say to him, take that turn over there on the right. Last minute. Doesn't show enough initiative, doesn't make the turn, pulls over to the left, kind of on the road, but not really on the road, kind of half on it, half off it, wondering what's going on,
What was his GPS telling him to turn down there?
No, GPS told him to go a different way, but I don't care, fucking show some initiative, you dumb Uber driver. And so, look, he seemed like a nice guy, but I was like, sorry, kid, that's a 3 from me.
Oh my God.
And then I broke the news to him about the star rating too, just to watch him squirm, because he reckons he didn't know. I was like, if it goes under like 4.3 or something, you get like an inquiry or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah.
So
you might want to look into that.
He's like, so you've done 2 trips. The first person probably didn't rate your trip, and I've just rated you a 3. So Guess what?
You're fired.
You fucking hit the bricks, pal. You're fucking done. See you later.
Yeah. And then as I
so
left,
you ended his fucking
career.
entire career.
Yeah. And then so as I left, I gave him a parting piece of advice. I told him to keep moving during rush hour, because I hear that's a thing. To take, take back streets, and as long as you keep moving rather than sitting in traffic, you're still making more money from the customer, and the customer feels like you're achieving something.
I've given that a lot of thought. I don't really think it's that true.
You don't think?
Not really.
Yeah?
Because it really, the fundamental is kilometers gone, right? Now,
Exactly.
whether you creep up to that stop sign or you drive up and stop.
No, but it's not talking about constantly moving and creeping.
Yeah, right.
What it means is if you have the option of sitting in the main flow of traffic and going through the lights and all that stuff, and it's going to take 20 minutes, or driving the back streets and going all these other ways, and it's going to take 20 minutes. That's your 2 options.
Ways, yeah.
Go the back ways, because then the customer feels like you're still achieving something, but in reality, you're actually charging them more money because you're getting more money per kilometre rather than sitting there for 20 minutes and only getting a few kilometres in. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a way of cheating the customer out of a bit of extra money when you're working on rush hour.
Well, I just feel like unless those back ways are really a distance of more than how much could they be? More than 500 meters, difference? There wouldn't actually really be a difference. He just doesn't really know how Uber works. But we'll see. Also, the other thing is that, yes, I mean, the thing is when you come to a halt, so if you're going slower, you are making fractionally more money. I had the worst Uber person the other day. They're going a real short distance, right? But
you were in an Uber.
No. I was taking someone.
Yeah.
It was sort of, and it was also one of those ones where I was like, I'm just wrapping it up. Should I take this extra ride? I was going to go home, but yeah, sure, whatever. So pick them up immediately. They're like, can we stop at McDonald's? It's the stop at McDonald's, man.
Now, stop at McDonald's. That's a bad thing for you as an Uber driver,
The stop at McDonald's will kill your ass dead. Kill it dead. Because there's 2 things, right? One, around the time that people are stopping at McDonald's, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., that's when things are likely to be sort of surging.
Yeah.
So, but you've picked them up on a non-surge.
Yeah.
You've just picked them up. And so already, that extra period of time, costs them $1 and it costs you 10 minutes, 20 minutes, And so basically, I was like, and that's the thing is, but you don't want to say no, because if you say no, they'll stare you down.
Yeah, but why can't you say, I'll drop you at McDonald's, you call another one after your McDonald's is done?
Because they'll stare you down.
Right.
That's the thing is then they have to call another Uber, then they have to wait for another Uber. Whereas,
yeah, well, fucking sort your fat ass out and get your McDonald's before you fucking call the Uber home, you dumbass.
Well, it would be lovely if people thought like that, but they don't.
Well, me personally, my Scroogey ways, I would hate the idea of sitting in an Uber trying to pass through the fucking drive-through.
But you got to remember, it's no K, so it's only that 20 cents a minute or whatever it is, or slightly less. which is really pretty affordable, you know.
Which you then blow by ordering your own McDonald's on the way through anyway. You go, and give me the chicken mac, thanks. I'd like to try that new one.
I tried that new one.
Was it horrible? Like
it wasn't good.
Why would you put gherkins with chicken? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Well, McDonald's.
Also, the sauce, the Big Mac sauce, really goes well with a meat patty, but doesn't really go with a chicken patty. And, you know, the McDonald's mayo is good stuff.
Well, I've got a confession actually about McDonald's. As a man who refuses McDonald's
and
auditions
hates McDonald's
and hates McDonald's with a passion,
and screams about guilts me whenever you see like a McDonald's wrapper around
the house.
You're like,
I'm like, guy, whose is this?
Yeah, you're like, you
have you seen? Do you know anything about this McDonald's wrapper in the bin, guy?
You just like being a pathetic piece of shit that hates the world, don't you?
Oh, well, look, I'll tell your grandchildren that you didn't even try.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway.
So I had McDonald's twice. No, but now to be fair, it was when I was road tripping down to Tongariro to be a gay rapist.
Yeah.
The lady I was traveling with wanted to stop somewhere, and I was told I didn't even try to talk her out of it. I was like, fucking A, McDonald's, because I was hungry at the time.
Yeah.
And so on the way down and the way back, I got the exact same combo twice.
Which was what?
Well, it's even worse. It's even worse than that. If I'd gotten chicken, right, I could feel bad about it. Mm-hmm. But, I even worse than chicken, I got beef. I got Mighty Angus.
Oh, the old Mighty Angus.
It's like
pretty solid burger.
Why don't you just
it's a good burger.
Kill the world and then spit on its grave, Harley.
And do it twice. If the shame of the first time wasn't enough, just go and do it twice.
Do it twice. Now, speaking of inhumane cruelty and so forth, there has been a scandal here in New Zealand recently because a brand of free-range eggs has been found out to be not actually free-range, and the guy behind it all was actively lying to the public and lying to the distributors of these eggs. He was going and getting he was selling his brand as free range eggs, but in reality he was buying battery eggs from somebody else and then packaging them in his in his brand, and then sending them out to the supermarkets. And so millions of eggs that were sold at the free range price to people who are conscientious consumers that want to support free range as an industry have actually been facilitating and funding the battery hen eggs through this guy. So he's really he's really done a number on people that thought they were conscientious consumers here.
Yeah.
I posted a rant about it on Facebook.
As you do.
As I do. It has been a very successful rant.
A classic successful Harley Neville troll / rant.
The articulate complainer, as you like to call me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so yeah, it's been a resounding success. If you want to go check it out,
go and check out his rant on Facebook.
Facebook.com and just fucking search Harley Neville. You'll find me, add me, I'll accept you, and I will love it. Now, anyway, I did catch a bit of flack from some people. A truck driver, actually. Not to be mistaken with our previous truck driver who is environmentally conscientious. This is Daryl from the internet. He says, "Whoa, I wish people would show the same passion about things like the sheer horror and trauma that innocent children suffer in bullshit warfare like Syria and Darfur. I'm glad to see that chicken's rated so highly." To which I replied, "He's here, everybody. The guy that thinks that because there's starving kids in Syria, we shouldn't help chickens in New Zealand." That he was not happy about that.
It was a solid reply.
He was not happy about that. And this is a bit that I liked. Harley Neville, you just stick to saving chickens, sunshine. Maybe we could airdrop you into Aleppo with some chickens and we'll see how long you last. I was like, what? What? So anyway, I just thought that was funny. So moving on.
Well, these Facebook rants are designed to provoke a reaction. And
he was a truck driver from Mosgiel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was probably delivering some of those eggs, maybe. Well, who knows? Could have been.
No, he certainly didn't.
I guess that's the thing, isn't it? It's a bit of a problem, isn't it? This whole idea that, if you're worried about something, it undermines worrying about something else.
Yeah. Oh, there's not enough room in my mind to worry about starving kids in Syria and chickens in New Zealand, so therefore I'm going to do nothing about both.
Yeah. Also, like, if you just only worried about one, that would still be a lot better than worrying about none.
Yeah, exactly. I did get another piece of feedback from another dude. Harley Neville, flush the dunny and move on. Caged or free range, eggs taste the same.
Well, it's true. They do taste the same.
But it's like, his name was Anthony. It's like, listen, Anthony, you fucking idiot. We're not talking about taste. We're not discussing taste. We're talking about whether it's immoral or not to leave small animals in a tiny cage for the entirety of their lives, which it is. It's immoral. So regardless of flavour, like,
regardless of the egg flavour, which is true. They do taste the same. Thank you.
And the very fact that I bought these eggs for many years, which I was kind of annoyed about. I was buying these free range eggs for quite a lot of years, and the fact that I bought them and didn't go, hey, you know what? This tastes like a cage egg. But to be fair, I also never really bought that bullshit either. People are like, oh no, you can totally tell the difference. Really? I can't.
Yeah, that whole organic, non-organic thing as well.
Yeah.
Everything just, a cucumber tastes like a cucumber.
It does.
Maybe it's got more pesticides and stuff. Maybe it's got like some cancerous agents in it that you don't know about, but
you can't taste those.
You can't taste them.
Yeah.
They're just working away in your system, creating something horrible, but you don't know about it. I do think that's a bit silly.
Yeah.
Although I guess, I don't know, does some produce taste fresher than others organic? I've never noticed a difference. But also I've never noticed the difference between like this whole idea that like, oh, if you eat a real healthy diet, like if you have like, a chicken salad, that's going to give you so much more energy than a BK feed, Like I've never subscribed to this idea. Like the food goes in, it creates energy. Your shits might be worse, but ultimately it has the same effect. One's just worse for you than the other.
I reckon it's a placebo effect. I reckon that when you eat healthily, it does make you... Well, no, hang on. Let's not get too crazy. First things first.
Eating healthy is healthier for you.
Exactly, and food is fuel, but there are different calibers and qualities of fuel. There's absolutely no doubt. So if you're eating healthy long term, it's definitely going to be better for you than eating bad.
Long term for your life.
Long term,
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, like on the day that you have that chicken salad versus the day that you have a BK chicken meal, I really feel like they give you the same amount of get up and go to the next thing.
Get up and go to the toilet. In the case of the BK.
Well, there's the thing though, is like I've had long extended periods where I've been eating really well. And I've had long extended periods where I've been eating like absolute shit. And there is very little difference except the size of my gut.
Right.
There's not, it's not like, oh man, I feel so sleepy.
Although it does take you more energy to carry that extra gut around with you. So therefore you have less energy because you're using more energy just to move and do the basic things you would do if you were a little bit lighter.
But even that being said, I never noticed that either. When I'm like 5 kg lighter, I don't notice, like, I'm not like, man, I feel amazing compared to when I was 5 kg heavier. I'm just like, man,
I want a burger.
Well, honestly, I am. I'm like, man, I really miss BK. I remember when I used to eat that. That was nice. I even miss those cream donuts from across the road. They were good. So, yeah, lots of good topics. So my Uber files, just quickly.
The Uber file.
The Uber file.
I'm the Uber. I like the segment to be called I Am Uberman. Guy likes to be called I Am an Uber file.
I am an Uber file. And so anyway, I was Ubering the other day. And sometimes you wind up in crazy places. So I was out in a place called Dairy Flats in like Silverdale, which is basically really almost out of Auckland, but not quite. It's sort of like a 40-minute drive away from...
Did you have to drive 40 minutes to get out there? Or was it like you took a ride which took you somewhere, which took you somewhere else? You ended up out there anyway and you accepted the ride?
Basically, I sort of did one 30-minute ride out there.
Right.
And then I kind of went a little bit further out. And then I sort of drove 10 minutes away from that one to take me to this new place. And then 10 minutes away. Now, out in this place is basically farmers and rich fucking cunts. That's the two people that live out there. So either you have like some farmland and you're doing some legit farming, or you live in a giant mansion. But it's kind of annoying because it's quite far away, but you live in this mansion. And so I ended up like sort of picking up people from a couple of mansions. With a gate that has to open. So you park outside the gate, and then the gate has to open, and then you drive like literally like longer than you'd like to walk to get to the mansionist house. I did that, and it was a bit eye-opening for me. But anyway, so I ended up taking this couple away from one of these mansions to a house party, also out in the middle of nowhere.
And were they like, "Why don't you come in, bro? Come in for a beer."
That's exactly what happened.
Oh, really?
That's exactly what happened.
That's cool.
So basically, I was, driving around, and we ended up sort of driving into this. It gets a bit. This is when Uber gets scary, because one, you're never around this area normally. It's not city. It's not even a little bit out of the city. It's like way the fuck out. So obviously, things are not lit anymore. There's no street lamps anymore. And there's just these sort of open roads of blackness, right? And so I've got a call, but I can't answer that because we're podcasting. I do have it on silent.
Why don't you accept it while I go take a leak?
So we're back from that little episode. But yeah, basically, so I was out in the middle of nowhere in this rich kind of area, and they sort of took me down, like, it was like a driveway full of private homes, which again, as a common lower class citizen, I didn't even know these things existed.
Yeah, like little private neighborhoods.
Yeah, it was an actual private neighborhood. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was really quite shook by the whole thing. I was like, what?
I've experienced those.
They have these? Like, it's like an actual, like, legitimate gated community.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. So anyway,
I've experienced those in Mexico. It's where all the well-to-do people stay to keep all the riffraff out.
Yeah, well, apparently Paul Henry lived 2 doors down or something like that.
Paul Henry does not want to live amongst the plebs because the plebs are going to be harassing him every time he walks in and out of his house. Even if he lives in, like, Greyland, it's fucking Paul Henry.
Yeah.
People will be harassing him about stuff. He wants to live in a gated community where everybody understands the rules.
And so anyway, so we drove out to this place, and they're like, oh, well, why don't you come in? And I was like, yeah, I've kind of got to get back on the road.
You definitely should have said
And they're
yes.
like, no, come in. Just have a couple of drinks. And I was like, I do have to get back. And they really tried. They really tried to get me in there.
I would have said yes.
To me, I was like... well,
what did they describe these people to us?
They were just kind of like rich, middle-aged folks, basically.
Was it a couple?
Yeah.
And, was she hot?
I mean, not super hot, no.
I'm just wondering for the listeners.
For the listeners' perspective, no, they were...
We're just trying to paint a picture for the listeners.
Just a regular, insanely rich...
Schlubby middle-aged people.
Couple, yeah. And so... But I was just like... I felt like I was walking into Eyes Wide Shut in that secret sex society.
Well,
that's kind of what I thought that party was.
All the more reason for you to have said yes.
And I was just going to walk into all these masks of people fucking. Yeah. But probably rich, middle-aged white people fucking.
Yeah.
Super rich, middle-aged white people.
Yeah. Well, look, I really feel like this was a missed opportunity for a few things. One, interesting story for the podcast.
It's an interesting story, right?
Interesting story for the podcast. 2, potentially just an interesting story for your life. 3, you might have met a benevolent patron of the arts that is like, oh, so you're being an Uber driver for your directing. As
he was bumming me with his mask on, he was like, oh, you're a filmmaker, right? Yeah, and I'm like, yes, I am. Yeah, I do independent filmmaking.
Yeah. Well, look, mate, that's it's all part of the business.
That's all
the
part of it.
occasional sodomizing is part of the film industry.
That's true.
For any aspiring creative,
there's a story that was brought up recently.
There's a sodomy quota
that Will Smith basically
sodomizes people.
No, I was going to say
got sodomized by Uncle Phil,
but essentially not Uncle
Fresh
Phil.
Prince of Bel-Air, in order to get the role.
Rest in peace, Uncle Phil. But no, more that he basically sucked off some big shot producer for a role. Like,
Right.
Right at the beginning, like, something like Bad Boys or
No, there's absolutely no way that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air needed to suck somebody off to get into fucking Bad Boys.
Let me make
to
this
get Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is when you would be sucking the
I
dicks.
think it was a movie producer, though, and I'm pretty sure he did. That's the thing, is like someone wrote about it, and normally if it's not true, they obviously try and sue that person. But no suing has happened, almost like it's like, yeah, well, of course he did do that.
Yeah, but lack of denial is not, acceptance of guilt.
That's true, but it's apparently like a widely inside a Hollywood story.
Well, look, I was in the office of a producer when I was in LA.
What the hell is this?
I just topped guy. We ran out of beers. Chuck Black. We drank those 4 beers far too quickly.
Yep.
They're all gone now, so we had to resort to my staple, which is a very cheap Australian wine called Ormond Rich Ruby. It's a sort of a very sweet port-style wine that you serve at room temperature.
Not too bad.
It's not too bad. That's why I drink it. It's a red wine, but it's very sweet.
Drinkable wine.
Yeah. And it's only $10. Pretty reasonable. Now, anyway, where were we? Sodomy.
I was going into this.
Producers.
I was going into the sex
party. You were going to the sex party, but before that, I was in the office of a big Hollywood producer when I was in LA. The guy from was it CBS? Is that what I said it was?
Yeah, I think
it was
so.
CBS. And I got a personal meeting alone in his office with the door closed. And look, I did kind of wonder if I should offer him a blowjob.
I thought you go, I did kind of suck him off.
I did a little bit suck him off.
And wasn't it huge?
It wasn't. I couldn't make him come, so it didn't really count.
But I just
complete
sucked
blowjob.
him off marginally.
Yeah. No. But I did wonder if I was like, all right, what do you do, Nevs? What if he offers you a role on CBS's latest hit?
You go, I'm butting you in your pants now. Is this the done thing?
Is this normal or yeah? So anyway, I gave him a freebie, and it didn't lead to any roles.
From him again.
Heard from him again.
So you've just compromised your soul for that.
He doesn't reply to my emails.
Yeah,
but I did suck off a producer from CBS.
So I guess the lesson here is that if you want to be successful in the industry, get good at sucking people off.
Yeah.
Because if you do a bad job, you end up in Harley's position.
Exactly. It's all the negatives with none of the positives.
So, get really good at blowjobs, do a bit of practice. It's not that hard, but there is,
practice with your friend.
A trick to it and a technique, and, be ready for that opportunity to seize it and become part of one of the Hollywood greats.
Well, to be honest, right, if the Hollywood greats like Angelina Jolie and all of these kind of like these well-established celebrities.
Will Smith.
Okay, Will Smith. Would you think less of them if, say, they had like struck up a deal, they sucked a dick?
Of course I would.
Just once or twice.
Yeah.
Just to get the roles. And then that gave them the opportunity
to do all the great work.
To show their true talent.
Yes,
and all they had to do was behind the scenes... discreetly choke down a fat one.
Yes, Harley, I would think less of them.
Oh, Mr. Morals over here. Oh, Mr. Up on his high horse.
Yes, Harley, I would think substantially less of them.
Okay. What about this? You have an opportunity to get a role on CBS.
Yep.
Hypothetically speaking.
It's a total hypothetical, not related to the conversation you just had.
And it's going to be tens of thousands of dollars in your bank account, possibly more, and huge exposure and massive opportunity for you to be on one of the main principal characters on a CBS show. And the role is yours. All you need to do is discreetly suck a cock in an office at CBS.
Well, my answer is, what was the question?
Would you do it or not?
Oh, no, I wouldn't do it. Of course not.
You would say no to that opportunity, that exposure, those tens of thousands, and you would say, no, sir, I appreciate the offer, but thanks, but no thanks.
While I really appreciate the offer, no, I'm going to have to walk away from this one.
Look, I think I'd just...
Chow down.
I think I just sucked that dick. To be honest, like, it's 5 minutes work for a career, right?
That's true. If you look at it that way, that's true.
Yeah,
and I guess that's the way Will Smith looked at it.
I guess so. I wonder who that producer was. Do you know who that producer was?
No, I think that story does go into kind of detail of which producer it was, but I could be wrong about that.
Right.
It was only based off a podcast I heard that this thing happened. So.
Well, look, if there's any high-powered producers listening and they would like a blowjob in return for a major role on a major show,
Harley will do it.
I just want to let you know that I will do it.
So good to know. And look, honestly, there is probably going to be a beer lover out there who is a big shot producer.
Yeah.
So you've got a real chance of making your dreams come true, Harley Neville. You've got a real high chance. You've just got to find that person to help you live your dream.
Okay, good.
Speaking of living the dream, well, we haven't really got into any of our topics.
No, we haven't. But yeah, what were you going to say?
Well,
what happened with the party in the end? You didn't go in.
Ultimately, I had to say no. But also, like, I was out, like, this is like 45 minutes out of
well, obviously
Auckland.
you could only have one drink anyway.
So you could only have one
couple of lines
drink.
of cocaine and one drink.
And also, like, this conversation of, like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, this total room full of strangers and
like, what are you doing here?
naked wearing sex masks.
And you're like, I'm the Uber driver.
Exactly. Like, it's really weird. Like, oh, I'm the Uber driver. Well,
Yeah.
okay, what are you doing here? Oh, they asked me to come in and have a drink. Oh, well, please be our guest.
Too much honesty. That's your problem, guy. You don't tell them that. You go, yeah, I'm mates with Joe and Samantha, and I came around with them. And they're like, oh, cool. Oh, no,
Me?
that's nice. And then they're like,
I'm nobody.
So he's mates with Joe and Samantha. Sweet. Well, in that case, he's part of the inner circle, and let's fund his web series.
In that case, pull your pants down.
Pull your pants down.
Pucker up.
Yeah, so anyway.
I left it, but I did think it was just quite bizarre because what would have happened had I had said yes in that gated community?
You will never know.
I know. I'm happy to not know.
No, I would have been like, coming for a beer, why not?
But also there is this problem, is like, I do have to work a certain amount to earn, like, it's all well and...
Well, yeah.
It's all well and good to
okay, but one beer, 15 minutes. Walk in, have a beer. If it's not cool, you don't hang around. If it's cool, well, maybe you knock off. Maybe you knock off for the evening.
If only it was that simple. If only I was in a position of wealth where time was not of the essence.
Well, exceedingly cool. Like a very, very cool party. Like, as in, like, a massive opportunity for you. It turns out there's just all sorts of opportunities left, right, and centre.
Paul Henry's there.
You're bumming Paul Henry.
Paul Henry's bumming me.
In a mask.
And we're just
good party.
having pleasantries about the biz.
By the way, I really disagree with your political views.
I take great exception. Yes.
All right. So what was next? So we moved on from sodomizing Paul Henry. What's next?
To I guess we should talk. Well,
I mean, I've got plenty.
I did have an audition the other day.
Oh, good for you. And how was it? I hope it was fucking good because it's useless now, isn't it? Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
Which I got. I actually got the role that I auditioned for.
Wow, good for you. Good for you, my friend. That's good. And how was it? It's useless now because you've got the role. So...
so I got an audition. It was for a television commercial, of course, where I'm playing, this is weird in itself, but, you've got your lucky socks. Mm-hmm. I've got my lucky blue checkered shirt. Mm-hmm. Also, I seem to be cast as a kind of hick guy a lot.
Right.
So, like, my first and only ad was for tourism, and it was basically like a South Island couple come up and see the bright lights of Auckland, and they're really amazed, and he's a bit dumb and doesn't really understand, like, the sophisticated nature of Auckland living.
It was an ad for Auckland.
To be honest, it didn't go down that well because it really implied that, people from the South...
People who were not from Auckland were dumb.
Dumb as shit and uncultured and didn't understand what ordering at a restaurant meant.
It's funny because you are from the South Island.
It was funny.
So you were betraying your kin.
And, honestly, it worked in the sense that, I've got a more South Islandy accent. I don't know if we can share. I don't know if the link is still up to that. It's probably been taken down by now.
Well, you should have downloaded it, you rookie.
Oh, I think I did.
download all my ads.
I think I did, but it maybe you've lost the time. Who knows? But anyway, so that was I was playing that, and now I'm playing a quote unquote rural dad. And I walked in with that same blue checkered shirt from 4 years ago or whenever it was, because I was like, what do I have that's rural daddish? This blue checkered shirt.
Yeah.
What is a rural dad, and how do they look different from a suburban dad?
No, they definitely wear checkered shirts. Absolutely, that was your gut instinct was correct. in the rural areas of New Zealand, it's pretty much checkered shirts or shirtless, checkered shirts or wife beaters.
So I could only assume that the checkered shirt is what won me the role. But anyway, so that's good. That's a bit of money, and
so the new thing. So what's the new thing? I guess you can't really say what the new thing's
well,
for.
I don't know if I can really.
But you've landed an ad.
I've landed an ad.
When are you shooting?
Films tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. And unfortunately, so they're filming it out in Coatesville. Coatesville is out on the North Shore, and it's actually very close to the area where I was taken in this rich.
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably some rich mansion somewhere.
Well, probably if you'd gone to that party, you would have met the producers, but just saying.
So anyway, I'm heading out there, but unfortunately, call time is 6:45 a.m., which means that I really probably have to get up around 5:30 a.m.
6:45, that's pretty outrageous. Who the fuck starts that? I've never started that early on I'm sure I have on a set of some description, but never on a commercial.
Well, the real problem with these...
Maybe I start at 7 sometimes.
I never really thought about it, but...
6:45, it makes a big mental difference.
Well, the problem with starting early on like ads is like, look, you're there for 1 or 2 days tops, but normally just 1 day. Now everyone is going to look like absolute shit. You've ensured that by because no one's got any sleep. There's no way. Doesn't matter how much sleep you get. I think if I go to bed at 8 p.m, which I'm not going to do.
Well, considering that's an hour from now,
but you
in less than 12 hours you're going to be on set.
But even if I did, I would still look like crap at that time. And because I've got up that early, I'll look crap and be crap.
Well, also,
day.
you're fucked because you are physically incapable of having an early night.
I know.
Because
it's a real issue.
Because you keep such whack hours.
Like last night, I literally went to bed at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And now I've got to get up at 5 a.m. the next night.
Yeah, you're
Just think about that for a second.
Fucked.
And also, if I will recall the last ad, where for some reason they didn't put any makeup on me. Same sort of issue where basically, like, I tried to go to sleep and I couldn't because I was like, I've got this big ad tomorrow. I'm excited, So I probably slept for like 2 or 3 hours and then got up at the crack of dawn and looked like crap and didn't get any makeup. I'm just sincerely hoping I get makeup this time.
Yeah, surely you will. Well, good luck with that. We all wish you the best.
So there's a little hint of resentment in that.
No, absolutely not. No. We all do wish you the best. The listeners and I, we all wish you the absolute best.
and I would just love to say good luck with that.
No. But you are fucked because it's so hard to go to sleep early. Like I find it hard to go to sleep before midnight. Yeah. And I don't keep hours anything like what you keep. You're a full-on nocturnal, so you're fucked.
I'm a creature of the night.
Smoke a big doob in an hour or so, you'll be sweet, bro. Just smoke a big doob, close the curtains, lie down in bed, shut your eyes, you'll be fine.
Shut your eyes, have a major
have a major wank, and then go to sleep. Now, I too have an audition.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's on Thursday. Today is Tuesday. It's on Thursday, and it's for a product with a casting company that I was shortlisted for last time I auditioned for them. So it's the same product. It's a continuation of the same storyline and the same gag with the same people, the same director, all of that stuff. And last time I got put on the shortlist and then I got put on hold, which meant it was down to me and like one others or maybe 2 others. I don't know. So I was on hold last time and I didn't get the role. And then this time they've decided to continue the series. And they have called upon me for an audition, so that's good. Because I hardly ever get auditions through this company too. This is the casting company is one that I don't go to very often. So they clearly remember me from last time when I got shortlisted for the same series. So that's really great, and that's on Thursday, and that pays if I get it $6G.
Well, that's the only issue with the ad I'm doing, is it does not pay that amount.
Well, were you going to tell the listeners?
Well, I'll give you a hint, but probably I won't go into too specifics, but it's under 2.
Under 2. It's about a quarter under 2.
And when you...
do the maths, guys. It's roughly a quarter less than 2.
And then, obviously you take off tax and agent fees, and it's quite substantially less than that. So it's not like a big windfall such as you have had several times recently.
Well, not recently. Last big windfall I had was what? Fucking my commercial
last year.
Australia was at the end of 2015.
Yeah.
And it's now the beginning of 2017.
Yeah.
So that was quite a while ago.
Well, it was still a good windfall.
It was a good windfall.
Whereas for me, this is just as I said to Harley, I was like, basically you're going through life as if someone has their foot on your throat and they're pressing down with all of their weight, and then something like this comes along and it just eases a little bit, and you go and take a gasp of air. Sweet relief. So that's what it'll be for me in my current financial situation. Sweet relief.
Okay, well, speaking of those financial situations, if the listeners do want to help out, remember you can, there's 2 ways to do it. Go patreon.com and search Pigville, and you can give us $1 a month, and that really does help us. It all adds up, and we're hoping to one day build that up to $1,000 a month, just like Viva La Dirt League. Now, if we got $1,000 a month to create content, right?
Well,
that would basically cover a lot of expenses, and we'd have a little bit left over. But we wouldn't be living at large or anything like that.
But the foot wouldn't be on the throat.
It would definitely help. So if you guys want to help us, go to patreon.com and search Pigville. If you don't like the idea of giving us $1 every single month, you don't have to. I've got another option, which is you go to paypal.com. All you need is my email address, harleyneville@hotmail.com, right? And you can give us. You can put in, say you put in $8, a one-off $8 deposit, and you go, here you go, buy yourself a beer, right?
Yeah, because also I will quickly
$10.
add that probably half of that fee will go directly to, I've got to buy a new hard drive because I'm running out of space for all our filmmaking stuff, and also to buy some new RAM for the computer, because basically my computer's RAM, some of it became defective. I had to take it out. I have not been able to afford to replace that RAM, which means that it runs very slowly as I edit things. So, it's not all shits and giggles, kids.
So, that's good. You can help us in that way. And what else was I going to say there?
Well, move on to the next topic, probably.
Yeah, probably. Oh, that's right. I just wanted to say we have been really active lately with our filmmaking. We shot a new... Now, we probably should have brought this up at the beginning of the show.
Well, we were planning to.
We literally
went
on an hour-long tangent.
We got sidetracked for an episode of the show.
and covered none of the main topics. So we had 2 major shoots recently. Well, not that major-ish. One was our new web series called Immi The Vegan, and we have teamed up with
Immi The Vegan.
With Immi The Vegan, and she's a listener of the podcast and an old school friend of ours, and we have been talking for a while about shooting this new web series, which Immi wrote, and Immi co-produced and handled all the nitty-gritty and fiddly stuff, and we attached our name to it. Guy directed it. I had a supporting role in it, and I helped Immi produce it. And we had the shoot, and it went very, very well. It was... Let me just check
who's calling you.
We're men of in demand, but I'm not going to answer that. So anyway, it went really well. We had the shoot. We assembled a crack team.
It was so crack. It was better than the team we normally assemble.
Yeah. It kind of was. We had a very experienced DP who his recent film. The Catch, his latest film, has just finished its New Zealand cinema run. His name is Bertrand Remau. I don't know if you say
Remo?
I don't know if you say the T at the end. Remo.
You
Remel.
definitely
He's French.
don't say the T.
Yeah. And we got another fella, Shamir, a Mexican guy that we've never worked with before, but we were hoping to get him on board to do sound, and he did, and it was awesome. And just generally speaking, everybody that was involved was experienced and good. We had a great cast, and all in all, it was, as far as I was concerned, a very smooth shoot. But now I left early. I left after my role was complete.
No, it was a very smooth shoot, very easy shoot. We did have a little minor calamity in that the DP was delayed by a few hours.
Oh, yeah. So call time was like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
But it was more like 5:30 p.m. by the time he arrived.
Yeah.
Not because, through no fault of his own. He's an in-demand man, and he was coming from another set in another city, in Wellington, and his flight was delayed, and so... It's just the way it is.
They could have been tricky, but fortunately, I'm a jack of all trades, so I just
He's a jack off of all trades.
I just picked up my camera and
our camera
shot a bunch of the start stuff myself.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of directors couldn't do that.
Yeah, we stayed on schedule.
A lot of directors would just go, well, I guess we'll just sit here and wait. But through being the independent cinephiles that we are, that was not the case, and we finished actually, well, I personally say an hour early. I thought we were going to finish at 3 a.m. We finished at about 2.
Sweet. Well, that should be has a deadline of March 31st, and it's the beginning of March now ish, and that's going to be edited quite hastily, and then it's going to be submitted for funding under this new initiative called the New Blood Initiative, which is a New Zealand funding grant, and if we make it into the top, I think, I might be just 100% making up this entirely, but if we get into the top 6, right? Is that the top 6 pilots get played on TV, and then the public votes for the one that they want to get the $100,000 funding to do the rest of the season. Now, I could be absolutely making all of that up, but that's what I thought was going on.
Maybe it's just on their TVNZ on demand.
On demand, and then people vote there. Yeah, maybe it doesn't go on TV. But so anyway, that's what that was for. So the great thing is it's got a quick turnaround, so it won't be too long before hopefully we have something to share and show around for that. The other thing we shot possibly our final pickups for Older. And when I say possibly, I mean definitely not. But possibly
the last dream.
Well, possibly the last major scene that we have to reshoot.
We can
maybe.
Hope.
Right?
Yeah.
So we shot this scene, and we had a little baby, a little 2-year-old running around who had to be my son, and it's kind of this little scene. And that also went very well, and was also a crack team of much the same people.
Yeah, and the thing about that is, this is probably, I guess the third time we'd worked with a kid, but the last kid we worked with is a little baby.
Yeah.
So the last
2 kids were both little babies.
And so a baby is just a big lump of meat that, sits in your arm and occasionally cries and shits itself. Doesn't do anything. It's just a blob.
Yeah.
It literally has no consciousness, because you don't remember anything you were when you were that age. You don't remember sucking on a titty. Not until you're at least 5.
You don't remember sucking on your mum's tit.
Not at least till you're 5 years old, Harley. No, do you remember that?
Sucking my mum's tit?
Yes.
No, absolutely not. But I don't know if it's because it's so long ago, or because I've blacked it out.
You go. I don't know if it's because it was 10 years ago, or if it's because it was a bad memory.
Yeah.
Jokes. Good jokes.
Jokes about sucking your mum's tit.
Jokes about sucking your mum's tit when you're 24.
Yeah.
23. But anyway, so, they're very, essentially docile. What are they going to be doing? Nothing or crying, basically. So they're very quite...
Easy to work with.
Relatively easy to manage, unless you want them to do something...
Specific,
like start talking. Whereas with a 2-year-old...
They've got a mind of their own.
They are. They've evolved from the blob. They're no longer the blob. They've got some thoughts. They've got some ideas. And they don't want to act in films. They don't want to do that. That's not like... a 2-year-old is not dreaming of being the next movie star. He doesn't even know what a camera is.
He's dreaming about titties.
And he is dreaming about sucking on titties. That's a priority for him.
He wants to suck his mum's tits.
That's
what
all
that's on his mind.
That's one of the things that's on his mind for sure. The other being, like, I guess, whether he's bored or not. Those are the really two things. So, you know, obviously, it's hard enough to get real actors to do what you want. It's hard enough to get real actors to stop sucking on their mum's tits for a second.
It's hard enough to get real actors to blow you in their office.
and step into the world of, you know, hitting marks and all that stuff. But obviously, with a little kid, a 2-year-old kid, it's all trickery, you know? And so, you know, the day started off a little bit grim because he
was not behaving.
He was not behaving. He was not doing anything we wanted him to.
He didn't want to come anywhere near me, and I'm meant to be his dad.
He was horrified by you to begin with. Mm-hmm. He threw a tantrum and threw himself on his face.
It was pretty hilarious.
In disgust.
He just did like the biggest face plant. It was like if he was an adult, he would have broken his nose.
Yeah, it was,
but because he was a little kid with a little malleable nose,
and he's close to the ground,
and he was just and just face planted into the ground and then screamed. Nothing to do with the face plant. He just screamed because he was angry about something else.
We were holding a
toy and we didn't give it to
truck
him.
And we didn't give it to him because we were trying to get a shot of him reaching for the truck. So he face planted in a rage and then threw a little tantrum, and I was like...
It reminds me of last week's episode of the podcast, actually, at the end there.
It was, actually. There's definitely some similarities there. Definitely some similarities. So anyway, and we were like, oh boy, like, how's this going to go? But then he sort of lightened up, and we tricked him with some marshmallows, and obviously the new thing now for all kids to... Look, don't want to take care of your kid properly? Just play him something on your phone. Mm-hmm. That's all you need to do. It's all you need to do. It's really made parenting, iPads and like iPhones have essentially made parenting a breeze. Whereas before it was very hard because you'd get,
well, they're a breeze in the sense that they're making raising your kid easier, because when there's a problem, we need to cook dinner, what do? You sit them in front of the iPad and you say, play with this. And they love it. They absolutely adore it. I've seen it.
They go mental for it. It's like crack. Love it. This is the equivalent of crack for
that's
kids.
the problem. The problem is that it is literally like crack in the sense that it releases endorphins, you know, and so they're getting endorphins from this relationship with the screen, whatever screen it is.
And then they start calling the iPad dad.
And then
that's a problem.
They grow up, and I just don't know. Like, they might be. I mean, I'm addicted to technology, so I'm wondering imagine if I had it from when I was fucking 2. You know, like it's.
Yeah, at least you'd be computer literate.
An interesting generation of people coming forward.
A curious generation.
Now, look, I need to go.
Well, that's fine. We should probably wrap
it up.
But anyway, the kid did ultimately play ball, and then Harley had to do some quite tricky acting, because he basically had to occupy this kid's sort of like keep him from having another major meltdown while he sat on your knee,
while also delivering my lines,
and also, you know, waiting for the camera to be set or the camera to be ready, or the, you know, like for it to be, and like changing angles with this kid. So it was very difficult stuff.
Have you looked at the footage at all?
I've had a little look, but I haven't analysed the takes as such.
Right.
But acting opposite you, I was like, in my head mentally, because I only had one. I had quite an easy job in the sense that I only had to say one line, and then I had to give the fingers to my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. You know. Mm-hmm. Which I'm very familiar with. Mm-hmm. So I just remembered the last time I gave my fingers to my actual girlfriend, and then I recreated that moment.
Yeah.
And it was quite authentic.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know, so you had to do all the heavy lifting, quite literally, because the kid was heavy.
Yeah.
And squirming, trying to get away from you.
Mm-hmm. And hot. He was hot.
Yeah.
To hold. He was making me sweat because he was heavy and hot.
And so anyway...
Mums everywhere, my hat is off to you. And dads.
And dads. Stay-at-home dads.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you had to basically just do your lines a bunch of times while holding this kid and hoping that he didn't...
And you were acting across from me.
Yep. And
we're like, Harley, you're kicking ass and taking names.
Yep. Yep. I did not verbalize that.
No.
I just thought it in my head.
You're like, Harley has known me for long enough that he will mind read my director feedback and know what I want.
Well, to be honest, if things are going right, my director feedback is
There's
nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
You know,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. And honestly, I really do believe this. I don't want to overcomplicate things. If you're doing a good job, I don't want to interfere with that with making suggestions. I think that directors have a really bad habit of always like coming in and going, "How well, you know, think about this and think about that, and have you considered all these things?" And then the actor goes, "Oh, well, now I am, but I'm kind of trying to think of all those things to adjust, and I kind of fucked up everything now."
And now I just
lost
all my
I literally
preparation.
just forgot my lines because I was thinking of all the things you told me. And so I think, you know, just give a direction here, an adjustment there, and don't get in the way of it. If it's going well, it's going well.
And it was going well.
And it was going well.
Good.
So
if any of the Hardy Hundy would like to cast me, that's a recommendation from Guy Pigville.
Works well with babies.
Works well with babies.
And toddlers.
Now, speaking of getting cast by the Hardy Hundy, I've had a couple of roles through the Hardy Hundy.
It's a pretty good system.
I've had 3 roles.
I haven't had any directing jobs through the Hardy Hundy.
Well, you haven't been asking either, have you? I've been asking the listeners to give me roles. Now,
Well,
so
I'm asking...
Paulie Edzer, she gave me a role. Sam Wheeler, he gave me a role. The guy down in Te Awamutu, I did this last time to him. I forgot his name last time too.
You're a horrible human being.
He's a really nice guy, and I got along very well with him.
I know, he's a nice guy. You're a horrible human being because you can't remember his name.
Well, I desperately need a piss, and I'm a little bit distracted. But and I also was in another role for a music video through the Hardy Hundy, and I'll definitely remember later your name. And anyway, I have a new one. Yep. I might have a role, thanks to a Hardy Hundy listener. His name is Bernie Rao, and I might have a role in a feature, I think it's a feature film, shooting in Wellington in April. So that's pretty exciting. I might be going down there. Now, I have reason to believe that when I say going down to Wellington, I mean I'm making my own way down to Wellington, and just as I made my own way to Hamilton for the other role. And
you're sleeping on our friend Nick Larson's couch.
Yeah, or a rat-infested sleep out outside.
With the mice running up the curtains.
But anyway, that's a possibility that might be coming up. And then another thing I have also potentially coming up is a role in Rarotonga. Now that will be cool if I get that. I got asked to be in the film. It wasn't an audition, but I had to come along and do a table read. And I was expecting just a normal table read, as in everybody, all the cast are there sitting around the table. We're all reading our roles and seeing how we get along. But actually, I got there and it was just the director and I, a guy who I'd never met before, and I had to do, it was essentially an audition. He told me it was not an audition. I didn't need to memorize the lines. It was a table read. And then I get there and he was like, okay, cool. So I'm turning on the camera now and do your lines. And
also, you do have to suck my penis, naturally.
And American accent.
Yep.
And I sucked his penis more as a safeguard.
Yeah, that was. He didn't actually ask.
He didn't ask.
You just thought you would before he asked. You would do it.
Preemptive.
Yeah.
I'm a very enthusiastic actor. You see.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it was really weird, and I really didn't do my best work. And I don't know if I got the role, but I hope I did. So potentially, there's a role coming up in Rarotonga in May. So that'd be fucking awesome if I got it.
Raro's a nice place.
It is. Well, I've never been, but I believe it. I'm sure it is. All right, I really need a piss.
And we really need to get out of here because it's been an hour 20.
And I'm going to poetry right now. It's poetry live night, so I've got to go.
Hopefully you won't get heckled.
Hopefully I won't.
Hopefully you won't have to suck any penis. But there's no guarantees in this life.
In the poetry world.
There is no guarantees in this life.
All right, so if you want to support us, remember you can. HarleyNeville@hotmail.com is all you need for PayPal. Otherwise, patreon.com. Search Pigville. You can give us $1 a month to keep making these podcasts and our videos and all the other stuff that we do, and that does really help us. Otherwise, just go to facebook.com/GuyAndHarley and hit like, and also... The other great thing you can do is give us a 5-star rating on iTunes for this podcast. It really does help us. We can't emphasize that enough. It is important. So please go and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes.
Also, if you're out there on the road, on the outback, driving that truck, keep on keeping on, brother. See you next time.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.